This presentation is brought to you by Arizona State University's Julianne Wrigley Global Institute of Sustainability and a generous investment by Julianne Wrigley.
The Department of the Navy also has 118,000 buildings. We have 500 million square feet of space at bases across the U.S. and around the world. So for a seagoing service, we're on land too. So we're using solar and wind, geothermal programs on many of those bases that are already producing electricity today. And we're exploring new technologies like fuel cells, hydrothermal, and wave generation. We're working with pioneers on technologies like smart grids and microgrids. Here in Arizona, Marine Corps Air Station, Yuma, where I'm going next, we started installing solar panels as early as 2009. Now, all of this is what we've done so far. So let me talk for a minute about where we're headed in the future. Let's take a look over that horizon. Under a directive from the President, the Department of the Navy is working with the Departments of Energy and Agriculture to help promote a national biofuel industry. And what we bring to the table is the authority under Title III of the Defense Production Act, or DPA. And we took an important step forward with a DPA award last year to 4 biofuel companies that have committed to produce 160 million gallons a year of drop-in, militarily compatible biofuels at an average price below $3.50 a gallon. Now that price is absolutely competitive with what we're paying today for conventional fuels. All right, full production, just this amount of biofuels, combined at a 50-50 blend with conventional fuels, holds the promise of being able to cost-effectively provide our fleet with 25% of its annual fuel demand, providing real competition in the liquid fuel market, competition that has not been there before. We also continue to develop our energy efficiency through some R&D of more efficient propulsion systems, our shore-based power management technologies, and conservation measures. At our joint base in Djibouti on the Horn of Africa, we've recently put in place programs that are increasing efficiency and driving down fuel consumption despite increases in the number of people and increases in electrical demand. So from Hawaii to Virginia and bases in the heart of our country like Yuma, we're rolling out more alternative power and more efficiency programs. At sea, our next 2 big deck amphibs are the USS America, which we'll commission later this year, and USS Tripoli, which will have the keel laying this summer. I'm going to do a little aside here. I get to do a lot of cool things in this job. It's amazing how many cool things I get to do. I get to name every ship that the Navy puts under contract. And I get to name the sponsor of that ship. So USS Tripoli is particularly important to me. The shores of Tripoli. So from Tripoli to Tripoli, 200 years of marine history is represented. And I happen to be married to the sponsor of Tripoli. So that keel laying and that ship, which will join the fleet in about 2017, are particularly important to me. And both those ships, America and Tripoli, will have hybrid drives like Macon Island. The USS Zumwalt, named after Elmo Zumwalt, the CNO when I was in the Navy 40 years ago, is our newest, our biggest destroyer, which we christened in Bath, Maine 2 weeks ago. It's got an all-electric propulsion system. And we're looking at hybrid systems for our future Aegis destroyers. Now, the Navy has had a long and very successful history of partnering with industry to promote business sectors, products important to our nation's military and economic security. From the development of the American steel industry more than 100 years ago to nuclear power, The Navy has helped the country develop economically while helping sailors benefit from the cutting-edge technologies to defend our country. These programs that we're talking about diversifying fuel supplies, stabilizing fuel costs, and reducing overall needs, fits right in. We also have a long tradition of cutting-edge research. We do some of it ourselves, and some in partnerships with academic institutions. Scientists and engineers here at Arizona State University are helping Navy sail toward that next horizon of innovation through some very innovative, very cutting-edge, very forward-looking research and development. And because power and energy are absolutely global issues, both an international security and an economic challenge, we're not the only ones working on this. We're not the only ones who realize the importance of developing alternative fuels and being more efficient in the energy that we do use. Our friends and our allies around the world are exploring similar projects to increase their combat effectiveness and strategic flexibility. 3 weeks ago, I was in Italy, where we signed a statement of cooperation with the Italian Navy to work together on biofuel development and biofuel integration. When the Great Green Fleet sailed at RIMPAC, the Australian Navy was there with us during the exercise. The Australian Fleet Commander flew one of his helicopters over and landed on Nimitz, where that helicopter was refueled with biofuels. He and I signed an agreement to cooperate on the development of biofuels and on research and sharing information. When he was asked by the press whether he was committed to the program, he said, "Well, I'm about to get on that helicopter, so I would say yes." The British Army partnered with our Marines in Afghanistan using that alternative energy X-FOB equipment. Sustainability for our military forces isn't just an American concern. Our allies are just as concerned and just as interested as we are. So sustainability is a global issue. Earlier, I noted how dependent Europe is on supplies of oil and gas from Russia, and it works both ways. Obviously, Europe is a large customer for Russia, but Russia depends on oil and gas revenues for over half its government's budget. Imagine the impact alternative power, conservation measures might have. Now, we're a long way down the road from where we were 5 years ago when I set these Navy goals. Now, not doing this because it's not instant, or because it's not the way it's always been done, or because there's opposition, aren't reasons for inaction. They're just excuses. By setting and achieving these energy goals, we're going to maximize our reach. We're going to maintain that global presence that's so necessary. And we're going to make our Marines and our sailors more combat capable. In short, we as a Navy and we as a nation will have an edge. We will be stronger, we will be less vulnerable as a Navy and as a nation.
This presentation is brought to you by Arizona State University's Julianne Wrigley Global Institute of Sustainability for educational and non-commercial use only.